All right, we are recording. Well, welcome to another episode of the Hospitality Internships podcast. I'm David Jones, Professor David Jones, and I'm have the pleasure today to be interviewing a person I have a great deal of respect for in this industry, and particularly in Asia in my past experience, Dr. Justin Peng, who is the Senior Program Manager at in the Tourism and Hospitality Management Program at RMIT University in Vietnam, and more specifically in Hanoi at the moment, but he tells me he will be moving to Saigon soon. So let me just start us off then, Justin, by asking you to tell us a little bit more about yourself and your educational institution, if you will.
Sure. Thank you so much, Professor David. Thank you for having me on your podcast. A bit of an introduction about myself. I used to be from the industry. I worked all over the world holding a managerial position. My last position was in the Caribbean with the Raffles Group. It was a Raffles Resort in St. Vincent. Worked in many hotels from London, Singapore, and I also taught about 10 years in Singapore in Temasek Polytechnic, which is similar to a community college. I did my doctoral degree with the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, and I'm now here in Vietnam with RMIT Vietnam, and I am heading the tourism and hospitality program here in Hanoi and also in Saigon. A bit about the university, RMIT. We have been in Vietnam for about 25 years. We are an Australian university based in Melbourne. Um, it's a huge university there. We have one of the largest intakes of students. We feel that it is good to internationalize our program. Hence, RMIT has brought its hospitality program here to Vietnam. Vietnam's growth in hospitality and tourism is phenomenal. It's amazing. There are about 800 um, development hotels coming up over the next 5 to 10 years. It's huge, and visitorship has soared over the last few years, especially post COVID. So I believe we are headed towards some amazing and fantastic times ahead in Vietnam. Uh, and once again, anybody who's interested in studying tourism and hospitality, I'm more than happy to welcome you to our program. Thank you, Professor David. This just myself in a nutshell. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting news for you there. And
Mhm.
I had another background thing on Dr. Fung that he mentioned there is that he has a DHTM from Hong Kong PolyU, and having been a faculty member in that, I have a great deal of respect for that program, and congratulations on that added degree to your Cornell master's degree too. So you've
Thank
got
you.
all the
Thank
right
you.
credentials out there.
And I did
Well,
my other masters with UNLV as well.
oh yes, that's right. Yes,
Yes,
it's you. I forgot. Yeah, all the connections that you and I have over the years here. That then when we did get connected in Singapore. So
our
well,
paths crossed many times.
yes,
It's a small
exactly.
community. Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a little bit about preparing students for the industry from your perspective there. What do you think sets your students apart in the preferred choice for hospitality internships or management training or entry level management? All those positions that hospitality internships is targeting.
Okay. For RMIT Vietnam, we take in students who are obviously very strong in their English proficiency. In RMIT, we take a very Western approach to studying. I mean, our program is obviously from Australia, but we also localize it to the way of how things are run in Vietnam and also in Asia. So we have a diverse staff, both international as well as local, and we try to have that mishmash of Eastern and Western values coming together, and trying to put it forward to them. And obviously, we push our students a lot to go out to the industry to bring international context to our program so that we really build a very strong foundation for them to be ready to go out to the industry. The program is essentially a managerial program, but we have not forgotten that our students need vocational skills as well. So we don't want our students to do, let's say, 6 months in a food and beverage outlet. We do have an internship program, but let's say, for example, in our food and beverage course, we give them a teaser course or teaser workshop for them to go on a cooking course so that they know what is going on in the kitchen. We bringing them out to hotels to let them have a feel of what's going on in the hotel, and probably a half day workshop, and that's all about it. So they know the vocational skill sets, but we are developing them for their managerial progression in the industry.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, that I couldn't agree more with that approach. That's always been my philosophy, moving them along the continuum to a point where they really understand the business. So
Mhm.
what skills or maybe experiences, and you probably addressed this a little already, but do you believe are the most important ones that the students need to gain during their education?
Well, I would say that the skills that are really needed are very much about how they are able to understand and digest what is going on in the current context of the industry. We are always bringing international aspects of what is going on right now in the industry, for example, like sustainability, the change of technology, and the use of these aspects or these areas in the current work practices. But we have not forgotten about the skills that are needed. That means, as I mentioned, the vocational skills. So essentially, I'll say that we concentrate a lot more on the managerial aspect. Also, on this note, we also want to develop a affinity for the industry. I think this is something that
Hmm.
a lot of schools forget. They try to uh, emphasize a lot on the skill sets, the knowledge, but I think what is really important is to build on that um, attitude towards that industry, that passion for the industry, the passion to
Yeah.
serve, the passion to be there for the people, to bring about a more memorable and enjoyable experience when any guest were to go to, be it a hotel, a resort, a attraction. I think essentially the underpinning aspect is to build that passion, that attitude for the industry. And with this passion and attitude, we can see them through for the long journey ahead.
Oh boy, that's outstanding. I couldn't agree more with you on that approach. I think that's outstanding.
Mhm.
So that kind of turns to the next question that I would want to ask you about. That is the industry partnerships that you created. How do those
Oh, yes.
partnerships with those companies enhance that educational experience for your students?
Wow. Thank you for asking that question. We do have a lot of industry connections. For example, we have this MOU signed with Intercontinental Hotels and Resorts here in Vietnam. So we are very much aligned to what they intend to do. We have them on our industry advisory board. They tell us what are the changes, what is needed in the industry. Likewise, they also come up with programs that suit our students. There's this uh, one day workshop that they have set up called Shadow Manager, and they'll ask for us to put in our best students, and they will get a student to shadow a manager for the entire day, and there's this very how should I say, very vibrant and very active collaboration. So every time there's some event like a career day, we get invited over, and when there are speakers coming in, we get invited there as well. So I mean, it's an ongoing collaboration. This is just one partner that we work with. We also work with many partners as well, be it um, be it F&B establishment. We also get them to come in to be our guest speakers. We collaborate our uh, course projects with some of them so that there is a lot more um, uh, industry real-time connection with our partners.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I'm impressed. IHG was also a good partner of ours at
Hmm.
Singapore Institute of Technology when we launched the program there too.
Hmm.
They have been very supportive, good organization, no doubt about it. Uh,
I think a
So,
lot of the companies basically they know that there is a need of manpower. So they are very astute. They are taking very proactive steps to link up with a lot of universities to ensure that students um, know who they are, and hopefully they will be the first choice of employment and the first choice of contact when they go out to the industry.
well, that speaks well not only of your students but also your faculty too, if
Hmm.
they're willing to work with you, and I think that's important.
Yeah,
So, in
yeah.
in that context, then, with the industry and the student, how do you bridge this gap between that higher education and the hospitality industry and your curriculum to ensure
Oh,
that success? What do you actually do?
I think there's a perennial question that everybody does ask. You know, it's
Yeah.
challenging. I think. I mean, we have been both of us have been in the industry, and we are professors now and educators in our own right. I think there's a lot of talk about how industry and academia can be better in sync to provide a more wholesome and holistic education to our students. I first and foremost, I do believe that for academia, we need to have a very strong understanding of what the industry wants. We cannot teach in silos. We cannot
Mm,
teach concepts and theories that are 20 years old. We need to be very current. I mean, as educators, we need to be up there at the forefront talking to industry. I think that's the first thing that we need to know. And I think from the industry partners perspective, they need to be very proactive, like what ISG and some of the international hotel chains have done. I mean, they no longer sit on their high pedestal and wait for students to come and approach them. They know that it is a competitive environment out there. If I'm not going to grab the right students and the best students now, I'm going to lose it to my competitors. So, what they're
mm,
all doing right
right.
now, and I can tell you that's the case here in RMIT Vietnam. I've got companies calling me, I say on a fortnightly basis, and they're telling me, "Oh, Justin, we don't have enough manpower. Can you recommend some of your best and brightest to us?" So they're really taking that first step in trying to connect with us, and they know that by just contacting me, it's not enough. So they come up with programs, they come up with opportunities to visit their hotels to stir up some some interest in the hotels. And they say, bring down your students, bring down your students, you know. And they know that by doing so, students get a bit more excited and say, oh, this is the place that I want to work in the future. I think that is very, very important. And once we get this together, we have taken that first step. And moving ahead in terms of curriculum development and our assessments and our assignments, I think we can do a lot more. We can do a lot more by collaborating on what real life problems and challenges they have, and throwing it back to us so that we can develop a a comprehensive assignment that fits the bill and solves the problems that they are dealing with. I mean, at the end of the day, they need to tap onto the new generation of hoteliers or prospective hoteliers that are coming in. You cannot just go back to
Yeah.
uh, the old generation of hoteliers who have been out there, and they're going to give you your very normal stereotypical answers that they have heard over the years. Maybe it's time just to listen to what the new students want, because these are the prospective workers, these are the prospective guests that you're going to have coming to your hotels. Why not listen to what what is being said from the horse's mouth? So I think there's a lot of opportunity if they work with us. I know sometimes when we work with academic institution, there are a lot of challenges. For example, when we are not running certain courses at a certain stage, you might not, or they might not be able to throw out that problem to us. But I think a lot more can be done on this level. I don't have the solutions to it, but I believe that it starts off with having dialogues and discourses with both parties, and hopefully it will lead us to something bigger and better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think You're hitting nail on the head. You know, the key the industry has to realize is they need better qualified middle management.
Hmm.
And, you know, that's why you need the students with the passion.
Right.
So at RMIT in your tourism hospitality management, what degrees or diplomas do you actually offer there in the field?
We actually do offer just one program or one degree. It's the degree in it's a bachelor's degree in tourism and hospitality management. However, we offer different minus. So we don't want a one size fits all program. We don't want our students coming out looking like robots. If they are interested in a certain aspect, for example, digital marketing, they can take a minor in digital marketing, or if they are keen on human resources management, they can do some sort of like a little trek into this area.
Mm,
So
mm,
the
mm.
program is
That's
pretty
good.
generic, I would say. I mean, we understand that students here in Vietnam, and also in line with the development of all tourism aspects here in Vietnam, that students might want something a bit more general, to just to give them that very tip of the iceberg, then they can have that interest to go into a specific field, whether it is in attractions management like theme parks, they can go into cruises, they can go into hotels, food and beverage. So we don't want to be too streamlined such that we are not catering to the entire industry. In Vietnam here as well, the students are very intellectual, and they have a strong focus on education. So we know that at some point in time, a lot of our students will move on to a master's. So what we are doing is that
Mhm.
we are giving them that baseline knowledge and understanding. They go out to work and they suddenly find that, hey, I'm very interested in food and beverage. So the masters that they will take at some point in time uh, in their industry journey would probably be to do a masters in F&B. So we don't want to be too specific at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah, they get more specialized as they
Hmm.
find their niche out there. Yeah.
Hmm.
So if
It's for them to
let,
explore. Yeah.
let's get into your advice from your background and experience both in industry and academics. So what advice would you give to the students who are aspiring to enter the hospitality industry?
I think students need to understand that this industry is very unique. It's very different from other industries, for example, like I would say like accounting, or something that is 9 to 5, or maybe even like teaching per se. I mean, but we know that as teachers, we no longer work
Yeah.
9 to 5. We're working almost 24/7.
Right.
But the hospitality industry is very interesting. I mean, we are a 24/7 industry. So we have to work shift, we have to work weekends, we have to work public holidays. So I feel that students really need to be, they need to understand this industry. We are also in the people industry. We are there to make memorable experiences for people who come to visit us. So the first aspect of students is they need to be people centric. They need to
Mm,
be
mm,
there living their lives in service to others. And I think that's very fulfilling when you do something for others with no return and you get that fulfillment that you have done a good job. I think that's the most important thing. Secondly, I think it's also about passion about the industry. If you come into the industry and you're not passionate about what you are interested in, I'll believe that you'll fizzle out very fast. You need to really have that calling. It's a vocation. It's something that you find a lot of fulfillment in. So I think essentially that is the most important aspect. Once you get that right, I think all the pieces will fall in place. Because if you're passionate, you'll start to do your job better. You want to educate yourself further. Maybe you want to take out some executive courses, and you'll build that career. And I think that the aspect of tourism and hospitality is you find success over a long period of time. It's not something that is instantaneous. It's something that you 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 build the little building blocks along the way to a very successful career. And over that period of time, you can look back and say, wow, I've done this, I've traveled here, I've worked in this hotel. It's not something that is instantaneous and it's just thrown at you. And when you look back and say, hey, I've done all this, fantastic. It's 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 a stepping stone in life, I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, based on your own experience, what tip would you give to students and or educators about the hospitality field that you think would be important for them to
I'll
learn?
think I think students need to be patient for their careers. I know we are living in a time where uh, instant gratification seems to be the way forward. You know, especially when we are hooked to social media and we post up a a media article or photograph and we instantaneously get all these likes. I think we live on that. But the fact about being in the tourism line is we need to be patient about where we're going. We need to acknowledge the fact that we are starting our careers. We have got a good 40, 50 years ahead of us. It cannot be immediate. I think at the end of the day also is that we are here to serve people. And ultimately, when we do that right, we get our jobs and our minds at the right place. So they need to be patient. They need to build up their skill sets. They will be managing people. Managing people is not something easy. It comes with a lot of experience. So I think students need to have that understanding and to build up the connections that they have. Once again, it's not something that's going to come immediately upon your graduation. For hospitality educators, I would say that they would need to understand the industry better. They cannot just work in silos. As much as I'm an academia, and a lot of of my work deals with theories and concepts, that is essentially not what an educator does. We use theories and concepts to find or to build impactful meaning to the industry. Ultimately, we are not serving ourselves. It's not how many academia articles that we have accumulated over the course of over our lives, but it's about how much we impress upon our students. How have we changed their mindsets, and how have we done service and justice to the industry? Because ultimately the industry will go on, and for each of us at some point in time, our career and our academia life will come to a standstill. We'll retire and we'll take a back seat. But the academia line and the industry will go on. We like to say that we have done a little bit, like a drop of water in the vast sea of ocean, and we have contributed a little bit to that huge phenomena known as the tourism and hospitality line, and also justice to our students.
Well said. Well said. Well, thank you, Dr. Peng, and also to MIT University Vietnam for your time and your valuable insights and experience that you shared with us today. You know, we appreciate your time and your contributions to the industry, to our audience, and thank you for joining us on this webcast. Stay tuned for more interviews and updates from hospitality internships. Thank you again, Dr. Peng.
Thank you, Prof. Jones. Okay.